Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Trey Olds Radio Show. This is Trey Olds. Today, my guest will be actor and voice actor Mr. Gary Schwartz. Stay tuned in a minute. My first question to you is, how did you get started in acting and voice acting? How did you get started?
How did I get started in acting and voice acting? Well, it's kind of a roundabout thing. I began performing when I was 13 years old. I studied, I got involved in a mime troupe and started to perform and really enjoyed myself in front of an audience. So with that sort of positive reinforcement, I sort of studied pantomime and developed fun routines that I would watch on television and try to copy. And I always enjoyed performing. And then through school, I got involved in talent shows and the drama club. Mm-hmm. But I never really took it seriously, although I did enjoy performing and teaching pantomime. When I left high school and I had a couple of years of college, I tried acting a little bit, but it didn't go anywhere. So I went back to my hometown. I became a bartender for about 7 years, mm-hmm. But because I was behind the bar, I would always sort of entertain my customers. Mm-hmm. So anyway, when I realized that I wanted to be a performer, I just said, well, I'm going to go study seriously, and I went to study pantomime in Boulder, Colorado, when I was 26 years old.
Okay.
And when I got there, the man who had school I had applied for had shut the school down, so I was sort of left with nowhere to go. So I had a sister who lived in Los Angeles, and I went out to visit her and got a job tending bar in Los Angeles. But because it was Los Angeles, wherever I would perform, there were a lot of audiences and a lot of opportunities to do pantomime.
Of course.
But by that time, I was getting very tired of doing pantomime. I wanted to talk, so I started taking acting classes. Mm-hmm. So while I was studying acting, I also took some improvisation classes and realized that I enjoyed that side of it all. And I got myself an agent, and I got a few commercials, and I met my partner, a friend of mine in my mime class, who was a brilliant clown and comedian, mm-hmm. and we started performing together. What I would do, because he was a better mime than I was, I would produce sound effects for his pantomimes.
Okay.
And then I started really realizing that I had a kind of a skill with my voice. I could make noises and do car door slams and buzz saws and sirens and whatever. So at the behest of my agent, I made a voice tape. This is back in 1978.
Oh wow!
When you had to make a tape on magnetic tape, a reel-to-reel tape.
Yeah.
And put your voice down there, make a ton of copies, and send them around to people to audition. Mm-hmm. So now it's a whole lot easier because you can just record on a computer and email it away.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how I got started in doing voice acting, because I made a voice tape way back when to enhance my commercial and on-camera work.
Yeah, that's how it starts. You got to get out there and do a demo tape.
You have to get out there. You definitely have to get out there. And what I found also, that I had a facility for cartoony type voices and comic voices and accents. So as I started to develop myself as an actor, I could also, I got on a television show called Zoobilee Zoo back in the 1980s. Mm-hmm. And that required that I use the voice of Ed Wynn, a long time gone vaudevillian actor who you probably remember from Mary Poppins.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So, I talk like this, you see, and I got that job. And so I played with that voice for about 15 weeks. And then I got involved in what's called looping, which is looping, or what they call additional dialogue replacement, is when they shoot a movie or a television show, all of the extras in the background are told to be quiet while they record the main actor's dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
But to act like they're talking. And then when the movie's all cut together, they'll bring in a bunch of improvising actors to watch the background actors move their mouths and put things in their mouths that would typically be said.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very specific, very specialized type of a job that is called film looping, or ADR, additional dialogue replacement. And I got involved in a very large in a very large group in Los Angeles that did the majority of the film and television shows. And so for 16 years, I provided background voices for a lot of actors, extras in scenes from everything from Star Trek to Batman Returns to Prince of Tides to all sorts of TV shows and TV series.
Wow.
And it was a great way to make a living.
Yeah.
So that's how I got involved in being a voice actor. I spent 16 years providing background vocals for film and television.
Yeah. I've done some voice acting, not big voice acting roles, but I've done some minor voice acting roles myself, and it is interesting to do.
It is. Well, I can hear from your voice. You have a particular quality in your voice that connotes a particular type of personality and style, and that voice can be very useful and be in demand.
Well, thank you. I am a fan of, because you've done voices from a video game I've played, Team Fortress 2, as the heavy and demo man. That was...
Right.
I remember you in that. And that was, I imagine that was a fun role to do.
That was a lot of fun to do. I started in video games way back in the 90s, when the games were very crude. But then in 1998, I moved to Seattle, which is sort of not the epicenter for film and television, but there was a very big video game community here, a lot of software companies developing video games, and so I was able to audition for a lot of those kind of things in Seattle, and that's how I got involved in doing video game voices.
What is the most challenging part about being an actor and voice actor? The most difficult part?
Well, steady employment, obviously. Because each job is sort of your last job, and you're only as good as your last job, which means you have to, if you're seriously looking for work, your job is really looking for work and marketing your services and marketing yourself as an actor, which entails studying acting and networking and becoming aware of what projects are going on, keeping your ear open for opportunities to audition. The jobs don't happen in a steady stream. I was very lucky because I was part of what they call a looping group in Hollywood. So I worked steadily for about 16 years. But up in Seattle, you just take your chances and you audition when you can. And every once in a while, you'll do a video game or a voice that will turn into a popular game. It doesn't happen all the time. So I guess there's an element of luck.
Yeah.
But you have to have the ability, because there's a lot of people out there in the world with the ability. What they might not have is the determination or the persistence. And I think that's what really separates a professional career voice actor from somebody who's just sort of doing it a little bit here and there.
Yeah. You have to enjoy it. You have to have the craft for it, the passion to follow it.
Yeah, and I've been developing myself as an actor, since I was 13 years old, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It all doesn't go to waste. It all accumulates, which is really the benefit. You have to love it, and you have to be willing to do it whether you make money or not.
Yeah.
Because if you're just looking for money, then there's so many other easier ways to do it.
Yeah, you can't be in it for the money. That won't cut it.
No, you have to love doing it. You have to be willing to do it for free and be thrilled when you get paid to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Another piece of advice I always get from actors is don't take rejection personally. When you go in to do an audition and they don't pick you, not to handle rejection personally.
That was a hard lesson for me at first because you're out there, you are the product, and when they don't want you, you feel bad. But what shook me out of that, or what taught me a great lesson, was I one time produced my own film with my own money. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for actors to be the right actors for my movie. And I saw so many talented actors, but many of them weren't exactly what I was looking for. And I felt bad because they were all so talented and they all could probably do a good job, but I was holding out for that perfect actor. And then when that actor walked through the door, I was like, oh, great, my job is over. Thank God. It was exhausting. And when I realized that, all you can do is do your best. And I remember a young girl came to audition. She was super talented, but unfortunately, she was the wrong race for the role that I was casting for. Mm-hmm. And I so wanted to use her because she was so brilliant, but I kept saying, look, I'll never forget you. If I ever do anything else, I will remember you and call you. And when I said that to myself, that sort of unlocked the idea that if you go in and wow them with who you are, you may not be the perfect voice for what they're looking for, but if you impress them enough, they'll remember you. And when the right voice does come along for their project, they'll think of you and call you. And that's happened more than once.
Yeah. Yeah, when you go in for an audition, you have to give it your best shot, and...
Absolutely. And you also have to forgive yourself if you're not on your best game, because you can't be brilliant 100% of the time. There's just days when you're off, and you blow an audition, and you just have to not beat yourself up. These are hard lessons. You just sort of have to learn them by doing. But when you don't get the job, don't think of it as a rejection. Just think of it as, well, I got to buy another lottery ticket now, And, when the next time I scratch off the numbers, maybe they'll be my numbers.
Yeah.
So that's how I started looking at it, like it's a big lottery. And eventually your number will come up if you stay at it.
Yeah. Do you have any upcoming projects, as into acting or voice acting? Any upcoming projects you would like to share?
Actually, no. I do voice. I think I've been invited to the Emerald City Comic-Con in March, but I may not be able to go to because I like teaching acting. That's really what my passion is these days, and it looks like I'll be traveling to Nepal to teach an improv workshop in Pokhara, Nepal.
Wow.
So mostly I enjoy teaching right now, and that gives me more satisfaction than acting. And I'm lucky enough now to be of a certain age where I have a pension from my acting career. So, if acting work does come along, I'm happy to take it. But I don't seek it out. I'm not as active as I used to be when I was younger.
Yeah. Of course, but it's always good to stay busy. But, as you said, you do the acting, the teaching for acting. How did you get started with the teaching?